everyone, welcome to another edition of the Qorent-Xperts podcast. I'm your host Tolulope Oga, and thank you so much for your feedback, comments, and suggestions generally how we can make the podcast better. You are the real MVP. As you already know, at Qore, we hire the top 1% of the 1%, so you're guaranteed that every guest that comes on the podcast is a subject matter specialist, and they're going to be giving their insights on various topics across the engineering and financial landscape spectrum. Today, I have with me the amazing Collins Ezerioha. He's a software engineer, and we're basically going to be speaking to the topic, the role of engineering in Fintech Innovation. This is the crux of what we do at Qore: innovation and also engineering, using engineering as a tool to drive innovation across the financial landscape. So this in itself is an interesting topic to consider. And before I bring Collins up, I'm basically going to read through his bio. So Collins is a seasoned software engineer with over a decade of experience in the industry. Currently, he serves as Qore, where he played a pivotal role in leading engineering and cross-functional teams to develop cutting-edge fintech solutions for the B2B market. His expertise spans across software engineering, security, and scalable system architectures. Passionate about innovation, and he continually seeks to leverage emerging technologies such as AI, blockchain, and cloud computing to drive transformative changes in the fintech landscape. Outside of work, you'd catch Collins watching football, spend time with his family, and playing the piano. Everyone, please, a rousing applause for Collins. Woo!
Yeah.
Hi, Collins.
Thanks for having me. Hi, Tolu. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I'm super excited to have you on the episode of the podcast. And basically, so today we're going to be speaking to the role of innovation, the role of engineering rather, in driving fintech innovation. And I know you are an expert in this field, being the engineering manager for one of our key products, which is Recover, our lending automation product. So basically, I know the audience would also just want to learn. It's very easy to throw jargon around and say, okay, engineering, software engineering, chemical engineering, different aspects of engineering, but us narrowing it down to how engineering has transformed fintech in the course of the past decade. So I'm going to be asking you some questions. I want to believe that you are ready to give us as much as you can.
Yeah, let's find out.
Okay. Awesome. So my first question, can you basically just share your journey into fintech and what drew you into this field?
Okay. So, hi everyone. My journey into fintech actually began with a strong interest in both technology and finance. And quite funny to spot it is that I didn't actually start my career from the financial industry. I actually started from coming from a customs development kind of custom solution development industry, where I do not have a specialty in a particular industry. We just build something custom for individuals, companies, and at some point I pivoted into supply chain and inventory. But I've always been intrigued by the idea of how e-finance was actually all about, and I was actually drawn to it because it merges these two fields to create that's the fields I'm talking about here are technology and finance, right? To create innovative solutions that make financial services more accessible, efficient, and secure. So working in fintech allows me to be at the very center of technological advancements while, addressing real-world financial challenges that we have today.
Awesome. Thank you, Collins. So I'm just curious. You mentioned you being in supply chain at a point, and have you always been intrigued by engineering? Like, have you always wanted to do something engineering, or you just found yourself in it or stumbled into it by chance?
I've actually always wanted to do it, and I was actually fascinated by engineering. Not necessarily, it didn't really start with software engineering or computer engineering per se. If I remember way back before I got into the university, I was always passionate about automobile engineering. That's actually what I wanted, but unfortunately, I think probably till now we do not have that in most of our universities. But the alternative at the time was to go into mechanical engineering. And I had a couple of universities that I applied to, and I was hoping that I would gain admission into, but unfortunately it didn't work out. UNN was actually one of them. But something about my post-UME results at the time, it wasn't working. So, and my dad, who was actually very, very instrumental in my progression, from school all the way to, post school and everything, was concerned, and he didn't want me to have to wait a long time at home before this thing clicked. So it got me into a private university, Crawford University, and unfortunately they had no engineering at the time. But the VC, whom I actually happened to know a little bit, but not so much at the time, advised that I should go into computer engineering. Computer science, not computer engineering, computer science. And I was, it sounded like something I actually would want to explore. I was like, okay, let me just try this for maybe the first year, because I actually didn't want to even go. Sorry for going too deep into this conversation, but I didn't actually want to go to that university. It was UNN that was my first choice. But my dad said, just try this computer science thing out. See how it goes for 1 year. If it doesn't work out, I will draw you and we'll look for somewhere else that has, mechanical engineering and all that. So after trying it out, for 6 months, I was hooked and I was sold. And that was where my whole interest in engineering, software engineering, sprang up and started. And just been nurturing it bit by bit until I got out of university, got into the employment market, and, found myself where I am today.
Amazing. From your story, I can see a story of growth, remarkable growth, and also just intentionality as well. Awesome. So I'm going to go to my next question. So how has the role of engineering evolved in the fintech sector over the past decade?
Okay, so over the past decade, the role of engineering in fintech has actually evolved immensely. It can no longer be referred to as just the supporting arm of a business or supporting arm of a financial services. Of financial services generally. This actually takes me back to a couple of years ago when I was having a conversation with one of my mentors. He works with the CBN today, and I don't know what his current role is right now, but as at 2015, 2016, when we were having this conversation about a conversation he had with his colleagues, then he was the enterprise architect. So he was having an argument with his colleagues at the time when they were discussing just how impactful technology is in financial services, especially when it comes to regulatory bodies and big financial institutions like the CBN themselves. So they were arguing that technology is more or less like a support arm of the institution, that is not the core, it's not critical to what they are doing. And he said, like, no, I do not agree, right? And this may have been way back before then, but at the time, or at the time of that conversation, that it has gotten beyond the level of support. Because when you speak about something like support, it's almost like you can manage without it, right? You can manage without it. But right now, technology has gotten so embedded into our society and into our system that you just can't do anything without it today. And that's actually how it is today with major innovations. So engineers today have or play a very key role, a crucial role in developing, sophisticated systems, infrastructures, algorithms for different things like risk management, creating, seamless user interfaces and experiences, ensuring robust security in in the financial technology system that they're building at the time. So the focus now has actually gravitated towards leveraging some very interesting tenets of technology like AI, blockchain, cloud technologies to enhance financial products and services today.
Awesome. I hear you on that. Even just speaking to the name itself, fintech. I mean, over a decade ago, that would probably not have been a term. Now we have different industries with tech infused into them. Basically, tech is an enabler, and like you rightly said, engineers are on the forefront and the forefront of driving the tech for different industries. And now we're having beauty tech, we're having martech, we're having fintech. So tech, like we always say at Qore, tech is an enabler. It's an enabler for ideas and for different things that we want to build, or ideas that we want to ship out into the world. Tech is basically a driver for that, and engineers are at the forefront and foresight of that innovation, basically. So, wow, thank you so much. Okay, I'll go to my next question. Like you've shared your journey into engineering, and you've been doing this for a decade now. You've been doing this for close to 10 years. What are the biggest engineering challenges faced by fintech companies today? I know there are a myriad of challenges, especially if we are narrowing it down to maybe Nigeria or Africa, but the key ones that you have noticed in terms of what are the biggest engineering challenges faced by fintech companies today?
Okay, so in my opinion, I will run through like 4 of those challenges, starting from the largest to the maybe smallest, right? Might not be the smallest, but just restricting it to this for the smallest. So the biggest challenge here is actually security, and that is very, very key in financial fintechs, right? Fintech companies, fintech products. Security is actually very, very paramount, and this has to do with protecting sensitive financial data from cyber threats, right? People or agents willing and ready to get a hold of your data and exploit it for their own for their various agenda. So security is actually it's actually a big challenge, and there's just no simple solution to this thing. It's something that needs to keep improving, enhancing, constantly monitoring, because just as we are busy building out exciting stuff, building out exciting products, especially in the fintech perspective of things. You have a lot of people out there exploring and coming up with different ways and avenues by which they can break into the system, get access to data, get access to your products, and use it to do whatever they wish to do. Right? So security is actually one of the biggest challenge here. Then the second one would be scalability. So this just refers to ensuring systems can handle rapid growth and high transaction volumes. That's actually very, very critical, because when you have a good product, you expect it, especially something that has a very good market appeal, right? You expect it to grow. You expect the user base to grow, and sometimes it can grow really, really massively. I recall when ChatGPT came out and was available for, the entire public use. That was about it was in November 2022. Yes. So at the point where they released it, it actually ran for a bit, for about a month or so, about 2 months, and it shut down because the user base actually was, the increment of the user base was actually astronomical. It was growing almost by the second, not just by the minute. Like, the moment that somebody hears about, there's this product online, or that you can ask it whatever, and it always has intelligent answers for you, everybody will just jump on it to at least even check it out, even when they don't even know how to use it properly, right? So scalability actually is very, very key in that area, because citing the ChatGPT instance again, at some point the stuff actually crashed, right? Because whatever infrastructure that the stuff was running on at the time could not really handle the rapid growth it was experiencing and the high volumes in requests that the app was actually processing. So, downtime was just the next thing to happen. And a system is scalable, always ensure and have provisions in place such that can handle, rapid growth and high volumes of requests and transactions in the case of financial services. So the third one will be okay. Do I go on?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the third one will be compliance, regulatory compliance. So in the financial space, we have the regulatory bodies, not just the CBN now, but you have also things like PCI DSS and all other regulatory, there's this one, the NDDPR, right? And the one that has to do with data protection and all that stuff. So compliance to all these regulatory bodies sometimes can actually be a challenge, because the product can actually be very, very good, but if it somehow or by a very tiny margin gets to be non-compliant, right, with one or more of the regulations, then you're actually going to have a problem with that, and this could actually impact adoption and growth as well. So last but not least is integration. And this has to do with seamlessly integrating with traditional banking systems. I'm talking in terms of financial services, right? So seamlessly integrating with those banking systems and other third-party services, payments, and all whatnot. Do you get? So that's actually one of the challenges, because there is so much variances in the way these other traditional systems and supporting third parties are actually built, that sometimes it could actually pose a great deal of challenge in integrating with them. So these are some of the challenges that the fintech industry faces today.
Awesome stuff. You mentioned some vital things that I totally agree that influences engineering decisions, even across board. That's from security considerations to scalability to compliance, to regulations from standard bodies, and also third-party integrations as well. So it brings me to my next question, basically, which is super important, even as builders. I like to refer to engineers as builders in that sense. I mean software engineers. How do fintech engineers balance the need for rapid innovations with the necessity of robust security measures? Because like you've said, one of the biggest challenges that fintech engineers face is that part of security, of regulation, and even integration with third parties. So how do you think engineers can balance that need for rapid innovation? Oh, there's a problem that needs to be solved. We need to come up with this feature. We need to do this now, with the necessity of being compliant in terms of robust security measures as well.
Right. Okay. So fintech engineers need to balance their innovation and security by adopting a security by design approach from the outset of the development process. So not just taking it as an afterthought or waiting to the part where the core functionality and the core functionality of the product is actually built out before then taking care of the security. That can actually be dangerous, because the chances of one missing some very, very key areas in terms of security is very high. So it's really important and paramount that the security by design approach is actually adopted early enough to be able to make sure that the product at the end of the day is secured enough. So with this, you could use advanced encryption for your data management and data processing as well, and for things like maybe connected devices, right? Maybe if your product has something to do with connected devices, you'll be able to adopt end-to-end encryption, just something like a little bit like something that you see on your WhatsApp when you see end-to-end encryption, adopting that just to ensure the secured flow of data amongst your connected devices. They also have multi-factor authentication, not just limiting your application authentication to username and passwords, right? That's so old school now, because with really advanced techniques like brute force and all that stuff, they can actually break into the system and have access into the product. But adopting multi-factor authentication would actually help in ensuring that the actual owners of those profiles or the user accounts are the ones accessing it at any time. And we also have continuous monitoring, yes, to protect data. So I can't say this more emphatically enough, because this is actually very, very key. Like I said earlier on the show, where I said security is there's not just a simple solution to security. It's something that needs constant work, right? It needs to be constantly monitored and constantly enhanced, because you have to you need to stay updated with the latest trends to be able to ensure that your data is continually protected. And additionally, they collaborate closely with regulatory bodies to ensure solid compliance.
Awesome. Wow. It's a whole lot of stuff that you're sharing here. Wow. Thank you so much, Collins. Basically, like you rightly said, the fact that we're even talking about fintech, we're talking about people's money here. The role of security, we need to double down on it, even as we use technology as an enabler for the financial ecosystem. And like you rightly said, security is not an afterthought. It's not something that we just think of, after we finish building this beautiful, innovative product that would solve the problem of people. But if we do not take into consideration security from the start, it can end up even creating more problems for people, because we're having issues of fraud and what have you, if we don't build true to type in terms of what is actually happening in a real life case scenario. And from what you said, it basically just speaks to the fact that it's also the importance of cross-functional team collaborations when building products. You've spoken to collaborating with regulators and also just product managers, security experts as well, even as you build. So it's just taking it from a holistic perspective, such that we have a solid and rounded product or idea at the end of the day. So you've spoken to multiple factor authentication. So building along that pattern, you spoke to encryption as well, and some other details as well. So that's really, really robust and rich. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to go to my next question as we begin to wrap up on this conversation. Can you talk about, so like you rightly mentioned, you mentioned scalability as one of the biggest challenges for fintech companies, especially when you gave the example of ChatGPT, for example. So can you speak to the importance of scalability in fintech applications and how engineers can achieve this? It's not enough to build for 50 people. How about when 1,000 people want to use that same product? So how can engineers achieve scalability in fintech applications, basically?
Well done, Tolu. You've actually even started my response for me, so that's actually good. Shows that you're also well learned on the subject as well.
I'm learning from you now. We're learning from you. You are the guru.
Maybe I should be the interviewer. Okay. So yes, just to answer your question, it is actually very crucial, and that's scalability, right? Very, very crucial in fintech. Especially in handling growing user bases and increasing the volumes that you do, transactional volumes, without, impacting the performance. So, just like I gave the instance with ChatGPT, I don't really need to go into it again, but you would know that it is something that is actually very, very vital and should be taken seriously, even from the growth stage. So just as you mentioned while you are asking the question, when we are building out the solution, it's not, we need to most of the times, right, in the requirement gathering stage, we get to understand the number of people that will be using it, right? Even if it is for a targeted niche or a group of people, or you just want to build it for a larger group, like say maybe in Nigeria, for instance. So even if you're doing it for something that you want to use, that you're targeting the Nigerian users, I believe that to ensure scalability, you need to plan for you need to plan for a population that is a mixture of Nigeria and say, which is the next biggest country with maybe Egypt. Do you get something like, yes, Nigeria and Egypt? So just have that estimation and multiply it, like even if it is by 2, 3, 4 times, to ensure that in the next couple of years you are not sweating over scalability. You're not sweating over scalability. So probably that's actually one of the mistakes that ChatGPT did at the time. It was such an exciting product. There was so much in a hurry to launch, and they just could not say, don't worry, scalability issues will take care of itself. Let's just launch. Sometimes, yes, it can be exciting, but the best way to handle it is actually from the start. And the tools and techniques that engineers usually achieve this is by using things like cloud-based infrastructures, right? So not just having to limit yourself now to on-prem, what we call on-prem, that is infrastructure domiciled in a particular location, maybe like your office, right? That has a lot of limitations added to it, because by the time your user base begins to grow, you will now begin to think of scaling up your infrastructure, adding more resources to be able to deal with the growing user bases and the growing number of transactions, right? That could be very, very costly. So having it done on the cloud will just ease everything for you, because we have people who are, who are primarily, this is just their responsibility. This is their business, right? The cloud infrastructures, people like Azure, AWS, Google, and the rest of them, using their infrastructures to handle your scalability is actually much more beneficial than handling it yourself, right? Another technique is what we call the microservices architecture. So what we call microservices architecture is just having to break down your product into independent, so to say, independent, smaller components that make up the entire system. The essence is that it not every bit of the system is receiving the impact of your large growing user bases and transaction volumes, right? You separate it, thereby spreading the impact and distributing it across other services, so that it's actually lighter and it's easier to scale. When you need to scale a certain part of the application, you don't need to bother about doing it holistically. You can just scale one part and you're good. So aside microservice architectures, we also have the engineers also use implementation of load balancing. So load balancing actually refers to deployment of separate nodes or units, deployment units, so to say, on which the applications or the fintech products are going to be running on. The importance of that is that so that the instances of downtime can be properly managed and it can be reduced. In the instance where something happens, a particular network is down, your entire service does not go down, right? So with implement the load balancing technique, what it does is the system just moves to the other node that is still up and running, and continues its execution there, thus preventing the entire system from going down and impacting user experiences for your users as well. Then there's also caching too, which is actually one of the approach with which you can use to scale. Caching in the sense that you have something that temporarily stores data and makes easy access to that data, instead of making trips all the time to your database where your database is stored. Where your data is stored, which can actually be very expensive in terms of performance. Expensive is also in terms of cost if you are running on commercial cloud infrastructure, right? And that also helps in data optimization as well, and just to ensure that your applications can scale efficiently.
Oh wow, thank you so much, Collins, for that. That is so insightful and in-depth. You spoke to the importance of the cloud, spoke to the importance of load balancing, caching, and data optimization as well, to be able to scale effectively for fintech applications. Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to go to my final question. This has really been an insightful conversation, really insightful. So as we look to the future of engineering in the next 5 to 10 years, what are the emerging technologies that you are seeing that would shape the future of fintech?
Okay, so I'm going to actually start with a very, very obvious technology that everybody, that seems to be on the lips of everyone today, and that's AI, artificial intelligence. And it's almost like with the way it has, started from 2022 when it started with ChatGPT, and over time actually has been before ChatGPT, to be honest. So ChatGPT just made it somewhat simple and accessible for everyone, right? And the rest of the industry is just using that premise to further drive the growth of AI and also make the adoption very, very fast, such that every product can actually have some sort of AI capability in it. It's almost like today, if whatever you're doing does not have, even if it is a touch of it or a taste of it, right, then that is almost like saying that our product is doomed to fail. So that I said almost, I didn't say it's really, really doomed to fail, right? It's not 100%. So yes, it's actually one of the emerging technologies and is a very major driver in fintech today, especially for things like personalized financial services. So you will no longer be, restricted to having some things done by, just to cite an example, right? Things done by a customer care representative, for instance, where you could have like an AI deployed on it with large language models that can do super natural language processing. Something you can just easily ask it a question, just like ChatGPT. You can already relate to that today. Ask it a couple of questions or whatever help you need in anything, and solutions will be provided, on the go, right there by the second. So it's actually one of the things that will be shaping fintech as we go along into the future. And you can also use it in fraud detection. So these days, we know how it is with fraud is actually on the rise, but with AI today, that can actually be checkmated, and can be controlled to a very, very reasonable extent. And also one of the areas too that it can actually be applied is in risk assessments. So risk assessment before today was sort of a painstaking process to ensure the minimal risks in whatever you're doing. So things like I'll cite an example with the lending automation system that we have at Qore. We have algorithms built into the system that helps in analyzing risk and also credit worthiness for the users of the system, where on an organizational level, even to a user-based level, right? So these are actually one of the ways that we could apply things like AI and also machine learning into. So the second one, which actually made so much buzz for a time before AI came in, is blockchain, right? So if you recall at the time when there was just a lot of noise about Web3 up and down in the industry, that's actually can shape the future of fintech, and it's already shaping the future of fintech. We have a lot of exciting and really robust fintech products coming out using blockchain, for secure. And how blockchain is actually the best when it comes to security and transparency of transactions, and other things like smart contracts and decentralized finance too, which is popularly known as DeFi, also the various branches of blockchain that gets to shape the future of fintech. So we also have something on quantum computing, which potentially today is revolutionizing the concept and technology of encryption and data processing today. So, and we have this, we have some of this actually provisioned as a service, right? That one can actually employ and use in their various fintech products to enhance security and data processing and optimization as well. So we also have Internet of Things. So I spoke a little bit on connected devices, right? So this actually refers to that. So that's we have a few. They may not be so rampant today, but there are actually financial services out there that one can access through connected devices. Things like a smartwatch, even your smartphone can be included. You have Lens today, smart glasses, all those VR tools that one can actually use, augmented reality and all that stuff. Those are gradually shaping and defining the way fintech is actually going to be in the nearest future. Then we have 5G. I'm going to stop at that point. The points are actually very it's way more than the 5 points I mentioned, but just to restrict it to 5. So 5G today, we all know it's the best band of mobile communication technology that we have today, and we already see how it enhances the banking experiences with faster and more reliable connections, right? Ensuring that smooth connectivity, smooth internet connectivity for most of these applications to work, because as we all know the applications are actually deployed on the internet. So for maximum security, for maximum security, for maximum usage and reliability as well, the 5G technology is actually very, very paramount, and is also helping to shape the future of fintech.
Wow. Amazing stuff. I told you guys that Collins is loaded. I told you. I hope you now believe me. Wow, this has been a loaded conversation. You just kept giving and giving and giving. I'm sure if we leave Collins on this call, he has so much more that he wants to dish out. He's that passionate about engineering. Thank you so much, Collins. As we wrap up, are there things we should expect from Recover, what you guys are doing at Recover, and basically just speak to that as we wrap up briefly?
Yes, we quite a lot of things to expect. We have things going on in pipeline, especially in the lending automation business part of Recover. We are gradually, it's already in production today, but we are further enhancing it to support more stuff, especially in the area of risk analysis and credit assessments, ensuring that we have the right set of beneficiaries, giving them the loans under the system, under the Recover system, right? So these are actually part of things we're working on. We're also working to see how we can further enhance the system using AI and machine learning in terms of the credit assessment part of the product as well. Then we also have the collections and the recovery, which has actually been going through a great deal of enhancement in the recent time. With that, it has sort of increased the throughput and the rate at which we are actually making collections, doing more collections right now than what we were doing a year a year ago, and we're constantly enhancing the system, ensuring that it's well secure, ensuring that it's reliable, ensuring that it's actually does what it's supposed to do, such that the other financial industries like the banks and the fintechs that we get to sign up as clients on the platform are confident in the system, because we actually happen to be the most reliable collections and recovery product we have on the market right now, as far as Nigeria is concerned anyway. Yes, it's probably number one. So we are trying as much as possible to stay on top of it and to make sure that it just continues being the best and better than how it is. It sure has its advantages, but we as engineers, we expect this, and at any point in time we're always responsive and proactive to all those changes to ensure smooth running of the business.
It's in a conversation. I personally enjoyed it, and looking forward to bringing you again on another episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for giving so much of your knowledge and expertise. Thank you so much. I'm sure our audience also learned a lot, as much as I also learned. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in on today's episode of the podcast. Till we come your way next time, keep being amazing and keep being courageous. Bye.
Hi, thanks for having me.